I married the man I deeply loved, finally becoming the couple I had always dreamed of. We even held a beautiful wedding ceremony, surrounded by people blessing our union. I felt so happy marrying the one I loved, and I was sure my parents, who had passed away, would be happy for me too. But I had no idea that a tragedy was waiting for me. I will never forgive those who ruined everything, and I plan to make things right. My name is Mary. I got engaged to Thomas, my boyfriend who's 2 years older, and we married when I was 27. I lost my dad when I was very young, and my mom passed away from illness 2 years ago. When I was at my lowest, Thomas supported me both physically and emotionally. We married on our 2.5-year anniversary, and our newlywed life was so happy. Since my husband was busy with work, we planned our wedding ceremony for when he had some time off. On those days, we would go to the wedding venue and make plans. We chose a date for the ceremony and started listing guests. I have an aunt and uncle who have always treated me like their own daughter, especially after my father died. They would often bring cooked meals when my mom was busy with work and kept me company so I wouldn't feel alone. When my mom got sick, they helped with her chores so I wouldn't have to handle everything myself. Even when my mom's health didn't improve and I was feeling down, my aunt would gently encourage me, saying, "It's okay, your mother will definitely get better. Mary, you just need to believe and wait." No matter how tough things got, I was able to get through it because my aunt and uncle were there for me. That's why I wanted them to sit in the family seats at my wedding. To tell them, I visited their house after a long time. My aunt greeted me with tears in her eyes, saying, "Mary, congratulations on your marriage." I thanked her and then asked, "I'd love for you both to sit in the family seats at my wedding. Is that okay?" She smiled and agreed. Then my aunt brought out a large box. "Mary, why don't you open it?" she said. Inside was a beautiful white wedding dress, made of elegant silk with a lovely mix of elegance and cuteness. The neckline had vibrant lace, the silhouette formed a beautiful A-line, and cute flower embroidery decorated the hem. The dress was smaller than usual, clearly custom made just for me. I fell in love with it at first sight. Surprised, I asked, "Why this?" My aunt explained, "Your mother, my sister, made it for you." Despite being ill, my mom had stitched the dress day after day, tailoring it for my petite frame. She had told my aunt, "If Mary ever gets married, please give her this dress." This was her final gift, made with all the love she could give. "Mary dear, you must wear this dress at your wedding. Your mother would be so happy," my aunt said, her eyes filled with tears and a warm smile. Moved to tears, I thanked her. "Thank you, Auntie, for keeping it safe all this time. I promise I'll wear it at my wedding. Please come and see me in it," I said, holding the dress with gratitude. Back home, I hung the dress on my bedroom wall and stared at it, feeling deeply happy and connected to my mother. I was determined to make my wedding a success by wearing this dress in honor of my mother, and that feeling only grew stronger as the days passed. Then one day, disaster struck. When I got home from work, the wedding dress that should have been hanging on my wall was gone. "What? It's gone. Why?" I thought, panicking. I was sure I'd left it right there. Just as I was about to call the police, my husband walked in. "Oh, Mary, what's wrong?" he asked, seeing me in tears. My dress is gone. I think someone stole it." I cried out. To my shock, my husband's response was unexpected. "Oh, is that all? What do you mean? Thomas, do you know something?" I asked, confused. "Of course I know," he said. "My sister is getting married soon and wanted to borrow your dress." I was stunned. My husband had just lent my wedding dress to his sister without even asking me. He said that when he mentioned the dress to her, she asked if she could borrow it, and he simply agreed. She even used the spare key in our mailbox to come and pick it up. I couldn't believe it. "What the hell, Thomas?" I said, furious, but he just waved it off like it was no big deal. "Our wedding is still a while away, so it's not a problem, right?" he said casually. My sister was thrilled. She doesn't have much money, and she was happy she wouldn't have to pay for a dress. I was livid. I'd never given permission for this. That dress was handmade by my mother just for me, tailored perfectly to my size. "Didn't I tell you that, Thomas? Why would you lend it out without asking me first?" "Calm down," he said. "It's not like it's a one-time use thing. You can still wear it. What's the big deal?" "What's the big deal?" I asked, furious. "Your sister shouldn't be wearing my dress before I even get to wear it. It's wrong." Even after I explained why I was upset, he didn't apologize or admit he was wrong. Instead, he sighed and said, "Mary, you're being too petty. Stop acting spoiled, okay?" Spoiled? Being upset over this made me spoiled? This dress was a special gift from my mother, and it didn't make any sense for my sister-in-law to wear it before me. I'd reached my limit with his lack of respect for my feelings. "I'm going to your parents' house tomorrow to get my dress back from your sister." "What? Tomorrow? My sister's fiancé and his parents are coming over to visit." "Don't interrupt them," he replied. "Interrupt? You have some nerve," I said. "Let me be clear. I have no intention of letting your sister wear my dress, no matter what anyone says." The next day, I took a day off work to confront my sister-in-law. When I arrived at my in-laws' house, I heard cheerful voices coming from the open front door. As I quietly stepped inside and listened, I heard an unfamiliar man's voice say, "Wow, you make this dress yourself? That's amazing, Cynthia." Cynthia, my sister-in-law, replied in a modest tone, "Oh, it's nothing like that." She was proudly showing off my mother's handcrafted wedding dress to her fiancé and his parents, saying, "It took me quite some time, but I wanted to bring my dream dress to life for my wedding, so I made it myself." Hearing this shattered something inside me. Her dream dress? This dress was made with love by my mother just for me. Without even realizing it, I was already walking towards them. I marched into the room, grabbed the dress from my sister-in-law's hands, and shouted, "This is mine." Everyone turned to look at me, shocked. "Mary, what's going on?" my father-in-law asked, confused. Ignoring him, I looked straight at Cynthia and revealed the truth. "This dress is something my mother made for me. Your daughter took it from my room without my permission." Everyone was stunned, and Cynthia's face turned pale. Her fiancé looked at her in disbelief. "Cynthia, is that true?" Cynthia tried to deny it, saying, "No, it's not like that. I really did make this dress myself." Seeing that she wouldn't admit it, I challenged her. "Why don't you try it on then? My mother made it to fit my size, and I don't think it will fit you." Cynthia was taller and more athletic than I was, so there was no way she could wear a dress tailored to my petite frame. "Hey, what are you doing?" My husband stormed in, his face red with anger. Cynthia, my sister-in-law, must have called him. "Mary, what the heck are you doing? Are you trying to ruin my sister's wedding?" he snapped. "Ruin her wedding?" I shot back. "I'm the one whose wedding is about to be ruined." Then, without missing a beat, he dropped a bombshell. "Listen, we canceled our wedding, so give that dress to my sister." "What?" I was shocked. "Canceled?" "Yeah, we canceled it," he repeated, almost proud. "Cynthia said she was low on cash. So we gave her the $50,000 we saved for our wedding as a gift. Since we're not having the wedding anymore, we don't need that dress, right?" I was speechless. He let his sister borrow my dress without asking, canceled our wedding without telling me, and gave away all the money we'd saved, without even a conversation. "You gave my dress away, canceled our wedding, and handed over our savings. Are you out of your mind?" I felt myself losing all feelings for him in that moment. He, misunderstanding my silence as acceptance, smirked. "So hand over the dress to my sister. You don't have any objections to canceling the wedding, right?" "Fine," I said. "Let's get a divorce then." "Huh?" He looked stunned. "What did you say?" I said divorce. I don't want to stay with someone who doesn't care about my feelings. "Wait, divorce? That's ridiculous," he stammered, clearly panicking. But I was done. As I turned to leave, clutching my mother's dress, Cynthia grabbed the hem of it, pulling with all her strength. The fabric tore, leaving the dress in tatters. She and my husband burst out laughing, as if it was all some joke. "Serves you right," Cynthia sneered. "If you just let me borrow it, this wouldn't have happened." I felt tears well up, mixed with anger. I didn't care about the wedding itself, but I wanted to keep this dress forever. Now, thanks to them, it was ruined. Then, to everyone's surprise, Cynthia's fiancé stood up, his face grim. "Well, I guess we're done too." The laughter stopped. Cynthia looked at him stunned. "Wait, you're joking, right? You're calling off our engagement? Why?" My sister-in-law pleaded with her fiancé, desperation clear in her voice. But he only glared at her with a fierce look. "Why? Isn't it obvious? I can't marry someone who does such nasty things without a second thought." His voice was cold, and even his parents stood by him, quietly furious at Cynthia's actions. Cynthia was frantic, yelling, "Wait a minute. Calling off the engagement over something like this is absurd, right? Mom, Dad, you think so too, don't you?" But her parents remained silent, their faces hard with disappointment. Finally, her father shouted, "Get out, you disgrace." Even my strong-willed sister-in-law broke down under the weight of his words, sobbing. "You're all being too cruel," she cried. "Stop crying," her father snapped. "I didn't raise someone who could dismiss others' feelings so easily. I don't even recognize you as our daughter." But she tried to protest. But then my husband stepped in, trying to defend her. "Dad, Mom, calm down. You don't need to be so harsh on her." They turned to him furious. "And you, Thomas, you're no better. How could you trample over Mary's feelings? Leave this house with Cynthia. You're both a disgrace." My husband looked stunned, never expecting his parents to turn on him too. He stood there, speechless. Then my mother-in-law came over to me, bowing her head in apology. "I'm so sorry, Mary. We were told the dress was handmade by our daughter, and we just believed her." "It's okay," I replied softly. "But I can't stay with Thomas anymore." "It's okay, our daughter is to blame. You go on and live your life without worrying," my mother-in-law said, her words full of kindness. They had always treated me well, and I felt a pang of guilt for how things had turned out. But I knew I couldn't stay with Thomas anymore. "Mary, I'm sorry, I really am," my husband stammered. "We'll have a proper wedding, just please don't file for divorce yet." He was begging now, panicked by his sudden dissownment. But I couldn't forgive someone so spineless. "I'll live my own life. I can be happy without you," I replied firmly. My husband collapsed, defeated. After thanking my in-laws for their kindness, I left their house, packed my bags, and went to stay with my aunt. She was shocked but welcomed me wholeheartedly once she understood the situation. My aunt helped me repair the dress, carefully mending every tear. It was almost as good as new, and seeing my mother's dress restored made me feel a deep sense of peace. In the end, I filed for divorce and received alimony from my ex-husband. I learned he had been secretly giving our wedding funds to his sister, so I was able to secure a little extra. He and my sister-in-law were now disowned by his parents, living together in a home we once shared. My sister-in-law, who had quit her job to become a housewife, was now jobless, leaving my ex-husband to cover all the expenses. Next time, if I ever get the chance to marry again, I'll choose my partner with more care. And when I do, I'll walk down the aisle in my mother's beautiful, handmade wedding dress.